good evening and welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast for another video. It's a new year, it's a clean slate, it's all those things. Happy New Year to everybody out there who watches Celtic World Order. Thank you very much for taking yourselves out and watching us every single day and every single week that we've been out there over the past almost 2 years now. So I hope that you all had a fantastic Christmas and festive period, and of course brought in the new year in some sort of style. We've got a big match tomorrow, in case you didn't know. It's a Glasgow Derby, but let's look at the positives of it. Wilfried Nancy's Celtic side haven't been defeated yet in 2026. Celtic are undefeated, so new year, positives and all that, turning over a new leaf. But look, let's get ourselves back down to actual reality. And here to talk, I'm sure, a lot of reality with me is my right-handed man, which is, of course, Paddy Boy. Mate, before we crack in about it, how are you feeling, mate? Did you have a good festive and New Year period, my friend?
Yeah, listen, Christmas, New Year, absolutely brilliant, mate. Football out the window. It was, it didn't dampen the spirits. And I want to take a wee minute, Steve. Obviously, you've already wished everybody a happy New Year, but we're live on TikTok at the minute as well. I want to say, listen, happy New Year to everybody. No matter what platform you follow us on, YouTube is our main channel, so please head across there. But listen, happy New Year to every single one of you. I hope 2026 is a good year for Celtic, but more importantly, I hope it's a good year for us fans just in general, because listen, we're all in it together. Celtic is a family. But yeah, listen, mate, time with the family, time just spending time with the kids and the missus and things like that, just chilling out, enjoying my time home.
I believe Santa visited Shea Paddy late, didn't he? He didn't want to visit until Dad was home, so hope you enjoyed that and hope the way
we started the wee man's advent calendar on the 4th of December so that it would coincide with me getting home from work and things like that. So Santa visited us on the 29th of December, which was lovely.
Lovely. That was very kind of the man. Very kind of the man. There we go. Well, anyway, as we say, I hope every single one of you out there had a good Christmas and a new year. And on that, as I say, before we do the wee bit of housekeeping, as we call it at the start, I just want to say thank you to every single person who has taken the time out to support this channel over the course, as I said, of the last year. Just a couple of headline stats. We said near the last sort of tail end of the year that we wanted to hit 3,250 subscribers, and we thought that seemed a wee bit pie in the sky. We were just about 3,050. Well, yeah, absolutely smashed it, because we currently sit now at 3,298. So thank you very much to every single one of you that done that. Just to put it into context, in the last week, 155 of you beautiful folk out there decided to hit the subscribe and support the channel. And for this year, this is a great number. Celtic World Order seen an increase of 1,888 subscribers. That's right, 1888 subscriber increase in 1 year. You couldn't write it. It's perfect. It's almost as if it was meant to be. 203,000 views. And our last video, of course, you all get great engagement with that, with nearly 13,000 you viewing that. So thank you very much. We really, really do appreciate it. And if you want to be like Dan the man here and help support the channel further, you can do. The wee member section as a donation to the channel. All it does is help with the overheads and running. And as you can see here, this man is confettiing them out. So if you get on the end of one of them, thank you very much to Dan. And you are a lucky person indeed for those memberships there. So let's get down to business. We say, make sure you hit the subscribe, get a big thumbs up if you like it, share it, grow the community. So we've got a derby to talk about. In case some of you are wondering what's happening, some people said on the last show, who's Paddy talking to? Whenever it's on silent, he's trying to engage those TikTokers over there. I know it seems a bit confusing. It maybe is a wee bit off-putting, but what probably won't happen as much because there's only 2 is on here. But just in case you're wondering, he's not talking to himself. He's not completely lost it. Nancy Ball hasn't blew his mind that much that he's starting to talk to himself.
Almost.
Anyway, as we say, Paddy, let's get down to business. It's a derby, and as it says there, actions speak louder than gibberish. Now, where am I talking about here? Yes, the big man needs a positive derby result to stand any chance to actually get a wee bit of credit in the bank. I think for many, yourself certainly included, it's too far gone, and no doubt whatever the result is, it will not change your mind. But I think that he needs to. But in terms of the tagline, Paddy, we're going to use the jump off point because you were talking about it, you were confused about it, and I wonder, and I want to know what every single one of you out there thinks about it. the press conference, Paddy. We've said time over. It's starting to get a bit dogs and caravans. You listened to it. You were impressed with it. The floor is yours, mate.
Yeah, I did feel a little bit sorry for him, Steve-O. I've been reading a few comments about it, and I was flicking through Facebook, and somebody put up there that he'd basically been flunking the Wolves, and I can see that. English isn't his first language. He's not familiar with the culture. In my opinion, he's not familiar with the concept of a team like Celtic. And I've said it many a time on here. He doesn't understand that he needs to win every single game. You can tell that by the stupid things that he's coming out with and the daft comments. It's about performance, not the result. And I'm seeing positives here. And if you look at the statistics of each of the games, we'll have won them and all of this kind of stuff, mate. That isn't going to sell with the Celtic support. It wouldn't sell with the Rangers support. It wouldn't sell with pretty much any team with any ambition. I was slagging Stephen Presley at the start of the season when he came in as Dundee manager, and they said, if it's trophies you're wanting, I'm not your man. And I thought, what a shitty thing to say when you're coming into a job. And I thought, oh my God. And then Wilfried Nancy's coming out and going, oh, it's not about winning, it's about performance. No, mate, if you think that, if you truly believe that, you're in the wrong club. And absolutely. I just feel like it's all, like you say, Steve, it's dogs and caravans. It's all that kind of stuff. He's going down that same route as guys like Pedro Caixinha and everybody else. And I just think he needs help from the Celtic board, the Celtic kind of media outlet. And now I understand why Celtic have banned fan media from actually going in and getting contributing to these things, because he would get tore a new arsehole. Let's be honest. He would get ripped apart if he said stuff like that in front of.
So Paddy, to just jump in, are you saying though that the feeling the fans might go in there and they might start telling some home truths and essentially having a go? But I'm going to go in the balance there. You're saying throwing the Wolves. We know that the mainstream media are, you know what I mean? They're like a cat with a ball. Yeah, string, they just want to pull until it's totally torn apart. Surely letting people like ourselves or other fan platforms in there, you might get a wee bit of needle out of it, but the general, it would be supportive, would it not? Surely.
Well, of course we would want to be supportive, but if he's coming out with things like that, comments like it doesn't matter if we win and it's all about the statistics, and if you look at the previous matches, we should have won them. It's all well and good. Was it Gino De Campo said, if my granny had wheels, she would have been a bike? Do you know what I mean? It's all that. If your auntie had boys, she'd be your uncle. All of they kind of things. Like, there's so many cliches in there that you could throw out, Steve-O, and it's just brutal, mate. And I think if the Celtic fan media were allowed in there and he was coming out with things like this, I think he'd be put back into his place. We want the best for the club. We'll support whoever's in that seat. We would die to be in that seat. Of course we would, but we need to, he even said that he'd die for the club after being there for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? But he just needs to understand what it means to be in charge of this club. He's in a results-driven business. Do you know what I mean? He needs to get this over the line. He needs to get this stuff out his head, because we need results. We need them quick, mate.
So Paddy, let's have a wee pick through some of the things, right? We've seen a lot of people have kind of digested. And if you saw that Sky Sports took the wee segment and they put it out as like an impassioned defence of himself when he get asked a question. What did you think here? Now, the key things I'm taking away from it, it's, again, as it says on the tagline, I genuinely do believe it's gibberish, right? And I understand the language barrier and maybe doesn't articulate things as smoothly as, someone whose English was their first language. I get all that. I do understand it, right? But it's back and forward. Like, for example, he was asked about the occasion, the Glasgow Derby. And again, I'm just sort of like paraphrasing, but the standard stuff about, do you understand how big it is and do you understand the importance of it? And he kind of in one breath went, aye, but then just went, but I'm not interested in that. But it's more about this, that, and the next thing, and just totally tangented off of it. And that feeds back into what you're saying about really understanding and getting the gravity of the situation that he's in. Another thing as well that's really getting flagged up was this, give me time, and keeps on shouting about, I didn't have a pre-season. Now, we've sat on here, and actually on that last video, a lot of you guys out there commented when I was saying exactly these things, but I was saying the guy deserved a bit of time. or in the ideal world, he'd get a bit of time. He'd get the bedding in, he'd get a pre-season, he'd get time to bring in players, but that was not real. That was not the real world, right? I said all that things, and folk rightly went, right, Steve-O, that's not the way it is. Plug your head in. What are you talking about? He can't, and I get that, and I said that. It is an idealistic world, but he's trying to use that idealistic world, and he's trying to use that as a wee bubble, a wee defence to say, look, it's unfair on me. I didn't get time. Mate, he's not going to get this time. And again, actions speak louder than words. He says that he understood when he came in that he wasn't going to get time. He understood, apparently, that he needed to get results. Yet, he's not doing it.
Yeah, if he's understood that the size of this job basically and come in, then he wouldn't have come in and changed the formation completely. You don't do that, Steve. He's looked at that squad and thought, yeah, I'll throw him out in a 3-4-3 formation. And when it failed against Hearts, he should have changed it. Roma, we said, was a free hit. He should have went out in that Roma game and went, right, let's try something different. I'm not known for doing a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 or whatever or anything like that. But play a 4 at the back. Try a different formation. Try the tried and tested that Martin O'Neill was doing. He should have done something like that, mate, but he hasn't. What he's done is he's come in my opinion, he's been very arrogant. He's been very, very up himself. And I think he still is when he's saying things like, yes, just give me time. It'll come. If you look back to my previous, if you look back to this, you'll see what I do. Mate, I've had a look back at what he's done. And I'll be completely honest with you. I've probably done more in football than what he's done. He's not one of these proven managers who's got millions behind him and that we should be going, oh my God, yeah, we're sorry, Wilfried. Oh, we trust your process. The truth is, you've lost fucking 5 out of 7 games, mate. That's the difference. We don't lose that many games. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't happen. Nobody loses 5 out of 7 games and keeps their job at Celtic. Do you know what I mean? It's not right.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, Paddy. Just keep on talking away. Here's a wee reminder. Again, this is another thing that folk are going to, and I understand what San Fran's saying there, and he says, if we go out and we get a result tomorrow, nobody will really give a fuck about what he says. And that probably is true. That is true. Ultimately, anybody wants the result tomorrow. It's definitely, you should be winning, must win, but certainly don't lose. And as I said, it maybe just buys him a wee bit of time, but it's like putting a plaster over a gunshot wound. It's like getting shot with a shotgun for close range and putting a plaster on it and saying it'll be all right. That's the way I feel that a victory tomorrow would be. And that's not to want to stay negative. I honestly really, really don't. But we were told that, performances against Aberdeen and performances against Livingston were green shoots of progress. But I mean, in reality, Paddy, other than getting a wee bit of goodwill in the bank and giving you a good weekend, what really does a win or a draw do for Wilfried Nancy tomorrow, mate?
It keeps him in a job for a wee bit longer, mate. I truly feel that if he loses tomorrow, the pressure is going to be far too much that the board, I think, will have to act on it. I think it has to come down to tomorrow. Now, I've been saying this for a few weeks. He needs a result here, he needs a result there, but at the end of the day, mate, a result tomorrow, I think, prolongs the agony of having him in charge. Mm-hmm. I think it gives him an extra week, an extra 2 weeks. Obviously, listen, as a Celtic manager, you're probably judged on 4 big games a season, whether we like to admit it or not. And you want to go out there and you want to win. Like we were talking about the end of last season, and obviously Rangers had the better of us last season, but they didn't win the league. Now, if that happens again this season, I fully see us being the ones that lose out. We really need to get something in place here. We really need to get the finger out and get a good result tomorrow, because I just feel like it could get some fans on his side for a wee bit. Yeah. But like you said, it's like putting a plaster over it.
Well, Paddy, I've brought this up here because this is his stats, just to remind ourselves, because I've noticed that I assume when you're a manager in that position, you'll do anything really to try and defend yourself, and rightfully so. You do deserve to defend yourself, of course you do. But I feel like his chat about where he's been and what he's done is doing a lot of heavy lifting. He spoke about knowing what it was like to be a player in Europe, when his actual, playing history was non-existent. It was pathetic, to say the least. This is where we're at. As I said, and I'll come back to me last time we were on with Stevie. when we were on Axon, we done the manager search thing, and we spoke about Wilfried Nancy. I produced my notes, and I again done it the other night. And I says here that for me, theoretically, the style of play is nice in the eye if it clicks and when it goes right. But the equal balance of risk and reward they're like that. They're on a knife edge, both of them. And here it is when you look at it there, mate. Right. So again, Columbus Crew, 136 games, 71 wins, 32 draws, and 33 losses. Right. And then again, look at previously Montreal, 25 losses and 16. Now, I know that these teams aren't big fish in the MLS pond, but again, look at it there. Rough points per game. It's about 1 point per game. I know there's no, there is such thing as a 1 point per game, but he's getting an occasional win. And I said at the time, too many losses, too many draws, and a mediocre league, because yes, Columbus Crew and Montreal aren't, as I said, powerhouses of the MLS, but there'll be a lot of equally matched teams in there. The MLS for me is very offset. You've got the teams that are right up here, then everybody else is sort of vying for position. And it's like a Motherwell, or it's like a Hibs. They pretty much should be beating these other teams, Paddy. So, I mean, coming back to that there, throwing up your stats for being in the MLS isn't really going to change many people's opinions, is it?
Yeah, basically, mate, that's what it is. And that's why I feel like he needs somebody to help him with his press conferences, because I feel like he's been thrown out there to try and defend himself, to try and basically make fan media, or make the reporters and stuff believe that he is the right man for this job. And I just think he's went the wrong way about it. Do you know what I mean? Judge me on my previous. You've not really done anything, mate. You've won a couple of trophies here and there, but like you're saying this like you're a Champions League winner, like you've won Bundesligas and Premier Leagues and whatever. Do you know what I mean? He's come in here and, like you said, he's managed a mediocre team in a mediocre league and done okay with them. That's basically what I'm looking at. I just feel like it doesn't get it. It doesn't understand. Celtic are never going to be happy getting 1 point on an average of 1 point over like a 1 point per game over a season. Do you know what I mean? That's us finishing on 40 points in a season. Can you imagine the uproar if we finish in 40 points in a season, man? There'd be carnage, there'd be chaos. And he's just got to get his. We need somebody else to go out in front of the media. I think he's been thrown to the wolves, and he's not going to understand basically what's happening. If he comes out after tomorrow, if we lose that game tomorrow, and he comes out and says, "Yeah, but look at the stats, mate."
Can I jump in, Paddy? Here's an important thing.
You can imagine.
I just want to jump in with a thing when you're on that train of thought. We mentioned the league, and Smelgoff's saying it here. This is very true. The American League, there's no jeopardy. You don't get relegated. You don't. You don't get relegated. You can finish low down in the table and you go into the playoff system, and then you can still win it. So you could be sitting like 5th or 6th, have a honking record, and still get in that playoff. And then the lucky the draw comes in, and it's tournament style, and you can go and you can win it. Right. Like it's mental. It's absolutely. So come for a league where there's absolutely no jeopardy. I think that's the biggest problem. And again, come back to I need time and go and have a look at what I've done.
Yeah.
What concerns me, Paddy, is see the way that he's talking though. It makes it sound to me as if he's been given assurances, that he's been told you're going to get January, son, and you're going to get the summer and all.
And that's the frightening thing, Steve-o. Like, TikTok at the minute, mate, is just rife. Everybody's in there saying, obviously, the Celtic fans are saying, get him going as soon as possible. Guy doesn't understand. Obviously, the other Rangers fans and Hearts fans, whoever are in there, are saying, give him another 5-year deal and whatever else. Listen, we said the same when it was Russell Martin and everybody else. You get that side of it, but I just feel like he doesn't understand how big the job is. And I'll keep saying it until they understand. Do you know what I mean? We need people in that club to tell him how big this job is. I'm sure the players have tried to, but there's a certain arrogance there. There's a certain, I don't know, something, mate, that he firmly believes in himself. And that's fine. That's all fine and well, but prove it on the pitch. You're not going to get time at a team like Celtic. You're not going to get that 7 weeks period or whatever he's looking for, which is say, give me some weeks, give me a couple of months, and then look at it. Like, if we go through another 2 month, right, we've got 10 games in that 2 month, mate. If we lose another 7 out of that 10 games, that's the league gone. probably the other cup gone.
Yep.
You're looking at a trophyless season.
Can I ask you something?
Carnage, mate.
Can I ask you something? Because again, maybe my maths is all out here. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Again, maybe it's lost in translation, but some of the stuff he said just didn't make sense to me. Well, I understand, he goes, normally you'd have a pre-season with 4 or 5 weeks. I get that. He says, but I've only been here for how long? And then he said, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, he says, I've had 12 training sessions? What are you fucking talking about? There's 7 days in a week. Right, you made me here. We train every day. So I don't understand where he got this mental number of apparent sessions that they've had. And if they have, well, clearly they've not had 12 sessions. That's just garbage talk. But he also talks a lot about rest days and indoor days, but it's all about watching VT and that. And I'm sorry, that's on you and all that. But I want my guys out on the training pitch every single day going through these drills. What I'm getting at, Paddy, here is he has only been here for a short period of time, right? But surely to God, there's been enough time in the analysis room and his spare time at home, because I'm pretty sure if he's the student of the game that he is, he'll be sitting there poring over the tapes at home and trying to make sense of it all. That you should be able to come in every day and at least start to implement things. But again, coming back to him, he's talking about what he does and doesn't do. He's not a 3 at the back guy. He's not a 4 at the back guy. He's no this. He's no that. It just doesn't make sense. But one other thing, Paddy, I know I'm throwing a lot at you here, that he said was about players. And he said there's guys that have been here 4 year, 5 year, 6 year, 7 year, and they've been used to and almost conditioned to doing things a certain way. And they'll take time to take it all in. Again, maybe it's just the way he put it across, but to me, that sounded a wee bit like it's my way or the highway, get on board with it. And as has been saying here with Marty, it's almost as if he's making out as if Celtic are this floundering club that needs saved. The way he speaks as if he's coming into a relegation fight and give it time and we'll get better and I'll improve you all and trust me, it'll work. That's not the case at Celtic. He's not coming in to try and reinvent us and save us for our own better good.
Yeah. The thing is, we were performing better before he come in, and that needs to be reiterated to him. That needs to be passed across to him. Like, we've got worse since you came in, pal. This isn't something that's been going on. You've not come in here and tried to save us. The people that he's talking about, Steve, well, these are players that, yes, they may have been programmed to play a certain way, but if they've been playing that way for so long and you come in and you try and change it, you come in and you try and ask them to do so much more. Maybe it's the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Maybe he's going in there and he's saying to Callum McGregor, Luke McCowan, these guys, right, I need you to track back more. I need you, Luke McCowan, I need you out in the right wing. You're going to be a wing back. You're going to be coming back. You're going to be getting the ball in here. You're going to be doing this, blah, 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 blah. Luke McCowan's going to make him a right mid. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't what I've been asked to do. This isn't what's happening previously. So you can see why there would be a bit of backlash from players who had been there for a certain length of time. And for what I'm hearing, obviously it could be rumour mill and stuff like that. There have been confrontations. There have been wee things where people have said things to him. Now, it's all day messy, Steve, like my granny's auntie was Lennoxtown and heard this, blah, 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 do you know what I mean? But there have been things came out saying that people aren't happy with how he's coming across, how he's putting things out there. And I think there's a big chance of him losing the dressing room if he keeps persisting with how he's going. And we don't want to see that. Other side of it, Steve, when you're talking about what he's saying and how he's coming across in these interviews and stuff as well, talking about what performance-wise and training days and sitting watching videos. I don't want my players sitting watching videos. I really don't. I don't want them sitting there watching a video of the Motherwell game and going, aye, look, we were at fault there, aye. Yes, you skim over stuff like that, but you skim over it at training. You don't sit them down in a wee cinema. Do you know what I mean? And go, right, lads, we're having a video today. Do you know what I mean? It's like being at school, innit? You're getting the wee video thing gets wheeled in and you all sit down and you're all chuffed to bits. They're getting a day half of training to sit and watch DVDs of football. I feel like we need to be training as much as we can. We're already getting called hamstring FC because every single person in their Douglas Popham hamstrings are all fucking injured here and there because we're getting asked to do too much. I think he's guilty of trying to overcoach the players, trying to make them do far too much. And I just feel like he needs to take a step back, mate. He needs to revert back to the old. I know it's not going to happen, but see, tomorrow I'd love to see 4 at the back. Can you imagine?
Yeah. I mean, see this here, a lot of folk are turning around saying stuff, and again, there's this bit of confusion, and one of the comments here is saying, I don't know if it's necessarily this being a positive or a negative, but they're saying he's using games to work out what players can and can't do. This was said to us on the other video the last time round, Paddy, and I goes, listen, I understand the idea that you've got to play guys and you've got to play your system, see how it works, and then you can work it out. And I know bounce matches and training aren't the same thing. They aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
But surely, after 7 games now, even after, dare I say it, 3 or 4, I'd probably say the midpoint, but 3-4 games, that kind of tell you if the players are getting it or not. That'll tell you that you realise that they're not getting it. But also as well, surely in your training, could you not maybe side up against, like, I don't know, the B squad versus the first squad in a game and set up a game and see how it gets on? Now, I know that our B squad's garbage, and as bad as we are, it might not be a challenge and not give you an actual real world threat to show we're weak there. But I'm just trying to think out the box here, the ways that you could see if his system works or not, rather than rolling the dice with it in every game where you have to fucking win. And that's the thing. Come back to the press conference, Paddy. He keeps on telling us about the interesting things he's seen. He's telling us, you can see already what's happening. Paddy, I mean, I don't want to flog a dead horse with this this press conference, but it's just, I'll use his word, interesting, because there's so many things that come out of it that just reek of absolute denial of what's been shown to him in front of his eyes. Yeah. He's turning around, Paddy, and telling us that it's not the system. The system's not the problem. That's not why we're losing goals. And then he's pointing to stuff like set pieces, which, yes, we do lose a lot of chances from, but Paddy, see the amount of times though that players have got in behind us simply because of the system. And I come back to it. Look at the game against Motherwell. There was points where he was telling his centre halves to be further advanced, like inside the Motherwell fucking half. Yeah. Now, for me, I'm not a manager, right? I've played football. I know a bit about football, and I'd like to think that I could set up a team. I get the idea of playing high line, right? But for me, 3 at the back, the secret is in the term at the back, right? It's not 3 at the back, but you're all midfielders. He wants to do these mental overloads in midfield. He wants to flood the 3 guys. Mate, how many times did you see Liam Scales making a challenge about like halfway in to the Motherwell half? That's how far advanced is. See, if you're bringing in to try and make a tackle there, guess what? You're out of fucking position, mate.
Exactly.
So this is what I don't understand.
How many times did you see it as well, Austin Trusty being the only one that was back? Mm-hmm. We were sitting at some points in that Motherwell game with one centre half, mate. It was absolute carnage. Now, he's telling us that the system isn't wrong. The system's working. If this is his system working, fucking hell, what's going to happen when it fails? Do you know what I mean? We're on to an absolute drubbing. All a team needs to do to us is play 2 up top, mate. And that's why I think Rangers will do well tomorrow against us, because they'll play that. They'll play 2 big guys up top. They'll play Charmiti and somebody else up there. And all they'll need to do is just ping balls over the top. Because if Ralston starts, he's going to be out of position. If Scales starts, he's going to be out of position. So it's going to be 2v1 because Austin Trusty will be there. And that's it. You're going to have Araujo or whatever his name is possibly getting a start as well. But
am I? Oh, mate.
Like, it's just brutal, mate.
So listen, let's move on for the ramblings of Wilfried Nancy. In conclusion, to sum up, I still don't get what this guy's seen. This guy's living in Cloud Cuckoo land, fantasy land. He's seen things that I don't know, like, wow. See whatever he's on, give me some of that, right? Because I'd love to sit down and watch the recent Celtic games and go, I can really see the positives, because I can. Yeah. And I don't want to sit here and say that, but I really, really, really can. I can't see it at all, Paddy. You mentioned it, and I'll bring it up. So we have signed Julian Araujo on loan from Bournemouth. Now, again, I don't mean to shit on the party. Let's do the positive tick. Is somebody right in the door immediately? Good.
Is he a right footer?
He is a right back.
Well, but hey, there you go.
Let's get in about him. So who is he now? I'm not going to sit here. We never sit here and profess to know about the ins and outs of players. We look at them at face value and we try to give you an opinion on it. Now, I've watched many podcasts throughout the course of the day. I've seen a couple of wee pop-up videos. And of course, everybody's going to tell us how brilliant this guy is and what a sign it is, and we're so lucky. I'm going to flip on the opposite side. I know nothing about the guy. I hope he's brilliant. I hope he hits the ground running. I hope he has a Sarachi-esque influence on the team. I know Sarachi's been injured, had his problems, but you can't deny that when he's been in the team, he's been very good. So see if we get something out of that from him. I will take it. However, let's get up his stats. Let's go to everybody's favourite transfer market and see what we've got on him. Because the reality is, we're getting on a guy who's, we're told, valued at 10 million, played a couple of times, a fair few times last season, and he's played like 90 minutes all season, right? Paddy, you told me something earlier on. You saw a post from a person who I believe might be an agent or something.
Yes.
And it made suggestions that this was just a guy that wasn't even scouted. It was an agent going, by the way, I've got this guy. I think he'll really fit your system. He played in the MLS. Your manager know all about him.
Yep. I firmly believe, mate, that's the case. The person who shared that post, Evo, is very, very knowledgeable and very in the know when it comes to things like that getting released. So I totally believe that's the case. I don't think he's a guy that we would have had on our radar. Why would we? He sat on the bench for Bournemouth, mate. He sat there and basically done hee-haw. Yes, he's right-footed. Is he going to improve our squad? All he has to do to improve our squad is be better than Anthony Ralston. So I think, yes, he will improve our squad because, let's face it, Anthony Ralston is not centre back. He's not even a right back. He's basically a guy who.
Some might say he's not even a footballer, but that would be being harsh on Tony.
That would be being extremely harsh. He's gave his all for Celtic, and for that, I thank him. But I don't think he should be one of these guys whose first name on the team sheet, and as he is at the minute. So yeah.
Yeah. So here's the guy here. There's the stats. Let's have a wee stat bomb, if you will. Let's get up those detailed stats and tell you everything that you need to know about Julian Araujo. Well, as you can see, yes, he plays for the USA. Well, he did play for the USA side at youth, and he's been capped 16 times out for Mexico. Obviously, he's changed his allegiance there, and he's getting games for Mexico. He started out MLS and LA Galaxy, which is, of course, one of the big franchise players there. And as you can see, the total overhead stats for him is that he has played 153 times. For what it's worth, he scored 4 goals and set up 14. He got a bit of loan move. He's out there, Palmas and La Liga. You know, getting a bit of game time. Getting a wee bit of game time in, it's fair to say. There you go, 1,463 minutes in Spain. Not too bad. You can't turn your nose up at that. And then, of course, makes the move to Bournemouth, where he does get some game time, but it is mainly last season, 24 to 25 season, as you can see. And then this season, 90 minutes. He played in the EFL Cup, and that has been his lot. Now, I think it is also worth noting that he has a hamstring injury problem, which, Paddy, is exactly what Celtic need, because we don't have issues with hamstrings at Celtic.
Yeah,
is that
exactly.
Me being cynical and am I being unfair?
I think it's part of your fucking medical, isn't it? If you get a hammy problem, welcome aboard, son. Then you come, do you know what I mean? Somebody on TikTok there actually said there's more chance of him replacing Yang than what there is of him replacing Tony Ralston. And I can see that. Obviously said he's played as the kind of right wing back attacking kind of side of it. And if that's the case, Steve-O, then it makes a case for Simpson Pusey, who is actually a right centre back as well.
Who is going back to Man City?
Exactly. When does he go back?
I think he must be on his way back by now.
On his way back now. Maybe keep him for one more game, get him in there just to see if we could do anything. I don't know, mate. Listen, like I said before, this team, you could pick out a Tombola, you could pick out a Raffle, and I think that's basically it. We kind of laugh and joke about it, what positions are going to be in, and obviously Stephen in the podcast says, "Oh, he looks like a striker to me, and he'll probably be playing up front for us tomorrow." Couldn't do any worse than Johnny Kenny, can he? Let's be honest. But it's just brutal, mate. We just need to get players in to play this formation. And if this guy's one of the players and he comes in and he does a job, brilliant. If he comes in and, like we said, he's been just warming the bench down at Bournemouth. Yes, Bournemouth do have a quite in-depth squad and they've got a couple of decent players. But yeah, this place basically come in and sat there and done nothing. So for me, mate, I'll be looking for a wee bit more than that.
So, Paddy, see, just to throw in and try and be a wee bit positive, this is kind of, I guess, similar to the Sarashi situation. But when we brought him in, he had played very little game time. He had fallen out of favour after being a bit of a sort of regular, and he had hamstring injury problems. As I said before we started talking about Aguero, Sarashi, for me, has had good impact. Yes, he's been injured. It's unfortunate, but he came in with no game time in his first game. You went like, I like that. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
So just, straight out, ask you outright, if he is able and fit. Apparently, this is the interest in using the Nancy terminology here. He said he'd been training at Celtic for a few days, which surprised me because it's, imagine keep my secret. But there you go. Apparently, he'd been up and training for a wee bit. So that's a good thing if that's been the case, because you'll have a wee bit of time to get used to what's going to happen. But just going to have to ask you, Paddy, do you throw this guy in tomorrow?
Aye. 100% you do. He gives you a wee bit more. He's one of these guys, Steve, like we said when he first came in. I take we're talking about Sarachi still here, yeah?
Well, no, talking about Sarachi-esque with Aguero. Do you throw in Aguero? Do you see that? Do you give him the nod tomorrow?
I think you have to, because I think he's better than what we've got. I know that's not saying much, but if he's up to speed, if he's got some fitness, some level of fitness, then you've got to put him in. You've got to trial it, because he's got to be better than what's sitting there at the minute. Tony Ralston in that position, mate, is just a man down. And as shit as that sounds, mate, you need to have somebody that can actually do the job. And I think if we can get him in to do that, then brilliant. If he comes in and he plays the position in front of Tony Ralston, the kind of Yang position, then I think he'll be better suited to coming back and defending, because obviously that's part of his game. It's not part of Yang's game. It's just basically been thrown into him. So I think you have to play him, is what I'm trying to get to there. I think you have to play him there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think it's, Punj is saying, when fit, the likes, if you've got Sarashi and you've got perhaps Aguero, who seems to, if he's fit, has a bit of an engine on him, gets up and down the pitch, things start to look a wee bit better, don't they? But then you also ask yourself, well, where does that leave the other options? Where does that put Kieran Tierney? Where does that put Trusty? Do you think if we end up in an ideal position where we do have like Sarashi, Tierney, Alistair Johnson coming in, Aguero, that you maybe move these guys, you maybe move the likes of Aguero, you maybe move Sarachi into that wing position, which, let's be totally honest, Yang, Tenetke, they're all right getting forward, but they're garbage at the defending part of it.
I think Tenetke is he's null and void when he's got to defend, mate. The guy's good at going forward, he's good at cutting inside on his right foot. That's pretty much it. In my opinion, he's a kind of one-trick pony. Having somebody like Sarachi as that wing-back player, who's somebody that can track back, somebody that's not scared to dive in and put in a hard tackle when he has to, somebody that's not scared to bomb forward, cut inside, to do the dirty stuff, to actually get forward, put a ball into the box as well. I think he'd be ideal for that position, as would Alistair Johnson. Alistair Johnson is made for that role. He's one of these guys, he's got an amazing engine on him. We've just run him down that wing all day, kind of the way Kieran Tierney used to. And I just hope that when Alistair comes back for his injury, that he's still got that bite and that desire to actually do so. Because I think that in that role, it would free him up a lot more to get forward, having the three centre halves that you could trust, and having that ability to then push up. And I think he would be ideal for that position. I really, really do. I think the attackers are wasted in that position. Does that make sense? I know you want to have a lot more. Yep. I think you want to have a lot more attackers on the park, and that makes sense, yes, because Wilfried Nancy's come out and says he likes to play attacking and defensive football. And I get that, but you need the players to do so. And I think Sarachi and Johnson would be ideal for that going forward part of it, and also for the tracking back. I think having the other guys in there at the minute are just filling a gap, basically. But then where does that leave your guys like Jota coming back and every other winger that we've got basically at the club, because it basically pushes them out unless you drop a midfielder and you bring in another striker. Do you know what I mean? And you play kind of similar to a 3-5-2 formation and have the wing backs that way. I don't quite know where it comes from. How you manage to incorporate all the players that are coming back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, one thing that I must say I get a laugh out of from Aguero in his press conference was when he was asked one of the first questions, what do you think about a Wilfried Nancy team? Answer, attacking football and very difficult to break down. Fuck me, man. What sides has he been watching?
I done the exact same, mate. I turned it off after that. I thought, you know what, the guy's clearly never
I really
seen.
crashed the motor when I heard that.
Aye. I thought, what has this guy been watching? He's clearly not watched any of the games because, like I said, we concede 2 goals on average per game at the minute.
Yep.
And that's ridiculous. Over the last 7 games, we're conceding at least 2 goals minimum.
Mm-hmm. Aye, definitely.
That's not right. Do you know what I mean? So that to me isn't a good defensive record. I don't know what Araujo's been watching or where he's been, but that's not good, mate. If you believe that that's good, then you shouldn't be here either. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Paddy, let's get into the meat of the game tomorrow, right? Let's talk about it. Likewise, yourselves in the comments, there's about 230 odd of yous in here. Give us up your thoughts on everything. If you're just catching up, we've spoke about the manager's wild press conference. He's asked for time. He's told us that we'll see what he can do. We've got to trust him. We've heard Aguero's come in. He's wanting to say that he's fit and ready to go, up for the cup. On paper, looks good. Hasn't played a lot of football. But where does that leave us tomorrow? Because we said, Paddy, this one is massive.
Yes.
And again, I'll say it again, refer to the tagline, actions speak louder than gibberish. There's a lot of talking. A lot of talking for Wilfried Nancy, telling us that he's seen things, that it's coming together, the system ain't broken, blah, 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 blah. But only a result will do, and only a win, I think, will do here. What's your thoughts, firstly, on the atmosphere around the stadium tomorrow? What we do know is there's going to be 2,418 Rangers supporters in the away end. We also know that they have a tifo, and we also know that the Green Brigade are still no longer in at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
There will be capacity out with that. And with everything that's going on with the results, the groundswell of belief at Rangers after no belief, how do you feel just the build-up to this is going to be, Paddy?
It's a different build-up than usual, Steve. I would normally be at the kind of cracking the cans stage now and get into them, and it's all fine and well. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, bigging us up and stuff. And I'll be pretty honest, mate, I'm absolutely dreading it. And I think that's going to be quite the same kind of feeling among quite a lot of your fan base. If you are positive and you are going to the game tomorrow, brilliant. Listen, big up the team. The fans need to get behind the team. That's a given, as always. But I feel like there's that wee bit of toxicity creeping in. But like you said, Steve, with the Green Brigade being still banned and the Union Bears being allowed in early to set up tifos and things like that, you kind of pandering to the other side, and that's never been the case when it's coming into Glasgow derbies and things like that. That's never been something that we do. We never kind of let them dictate it. And listen, they're going to be loud tomorrow. They are going to be bringing it. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of Rangers fans in the chat on TikTok here, and they're saying, listen, we're coming for you. We won't hear you singing tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I get it. And the away support sometimes does get that wee bit a boost, and everybody sings. So you have, like you say, Steve, 2,000 odd folk in that away end belting out their hearts. And I think the Celtic fans need to be there, need to get behind that team. They need to get behind the manager, whether we like it or not. He's in charge of Celtic at the minute. So when he's in charge of Celtic, I will support him. I don't want him to be at the club. I'm totally honest about that. But when he's in charge of that team, I'll support the team. It's as simple as that. And he's there. So I want this performance that he's been talking about to come out. I want him to show us all. I want him to prove us all wrong. I would love nothing more than to fucking scalp Rangers tomorrow 5-0 or whatever. I would love to come out with a win, with an amazing performance and go, wow, that's what we've been waiting on.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a part of me, Steve, that says that's not going to come under this manager. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's very fair. What I would say, Paddy, is on that, and just to touch on the atmosphere and things, I think it is important, it's imperative for every fan who is capable of making any form of noise in that stadium needs to get behind them. And also in terms of the Green Brigade aren't going to be there, the boys will obviously be there, and there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting needing to be done with those guys to really G things up. Some people are saying, you know, if God forbid, if Rangers score, that it could flatten out the.
Give me 2 seconds.
The atmosphere here, and I understand that. I do understand that if, you know, Rangers were to score first, it would concern a lot of people. It would deflate a lot of people. But I think calling for sense here, and, you know, preaching to converted here, I'm sure everybody's on the same page here. It is massive for every single Celtic fan inside that stadium through thick and thin of this match to really get behind the manager, to get behind the players, regardless of how things are panning out. And then at the end, depending on how it pans out, if you then want to, if, you know, hopefully we're celebrating, but if it doesn't go our way and you're wanting to show your disapproval, then I would say then that's perfectly entitled to do that. But I just think one thing that we always say is how the toxic atmosphere at Ibrox, when things aren't going their way, really affect that team, how it really, really shoots them in the foot. And I've said time and time over on this podcast that at this moment in time, that Celtic are in such a fragile state. So for me, I know it'll be hard, and, you know, I'm not going to be at the game tomorrow, neither's Paddy, but I know it would be hard to sit there and to try and stay optimistic and to try and cheer if things weren't going our way. But equally, bear in mind, we are at home. We are going to have the full stands. Yeah. And if we start to turn, then if you think it's bad right now, it's only going to get worse. And that Rangers crowd will feed off that, and those players will feed off that, and it could quickly unravel. We need to be all on a page here, Paddy, don't we? As I say, if it doesn't go our way, you know, touch wood it does, but just to cover all eventualities, if it didn't, wait to the end, you know, don't.
Will the Sharks be out, Steve? Is that kind of where we're looking at here?
I don't know, Paddy.
Listen, the Harris fencing apparently is already up. It's already all segregated and everything else at the minute. But I get what you're saying. We need to do it. We need to get behind this team, and it is tough. It's going to be a tough one, especially if we concede early, which I think we probably will, because we have done so many times before. You look at the Motherwell game, you look at the Livy game, you look at even, do you know what I mean? Pretty much every game, Steve, the Roma game, things like that. We're conceding so much so early, and I think that's deflating the players on the park. And we need the fans to be able to lift them again. Celtic Park is a different animal when it comes to games like this. It's one of the times where we actually get in there and we, like you said before, Steve, the fans have got the ability to soak the ball into the back of the net. I just hope to God we can do that tomorrow, because we have to. If Rangers win tomorrow, it takes them levelling points with us, still behind Hearts, and with the momentum to push forward. Do you know what I mean? And that at this moment in time, mate, to me is just, it's a tough one. It's going to be a tough one to swallow. We know we need to get in so many players for this formation to kick off. We know we need to progress, and we know we need to give this manager time, apparently. But I just don't. If we lose tomorrow, he doesn't get that time.
No,
I don't think he will.
Not, Paddy,
the fans will not tolerate it.
So I just wanted, talking about the atmosphere and talking about things, it would be remiss not to mention it because it came out, excuse me, you know, we know the elephant room, there isn't any Green Brigade there. And they released a statement tonight, basically just highlighting that they've not been in. And again, referring back to what happened at the CSC back in March. Where do you see this or not see this going forward? Because I don't mean this, just for context, don't take this the wrong way. I'm just bored of it, Paddy. I'm just bored of this war of attrition between the fans groups and the board. Now,
I think you're spot on, Steve. I think the board are doubling down. Somebody just kind of come in there on a TikTok and said that as well. The board are throwing out the gauntlet now because basically they know they're under the cosh. They know that the Green Brigade have been pushing for quite a lot of this. So by keeping them out, they're basically trying to silence the aggression against them. Basically, not the aggression, the kind of taunting towards them and whatever else. Do you know what I mean? They're basically doing that, and you can see why. You can see why they're going to do that. But I just feel like they're going about it in the wrong way as well. Mm-hmm. Yes, there have been issues. Yes, there are things that need to be dealt with, but deal with them in a certain way and don't affect the fan base. Mm-hmm. Because yes, the Green Brigade do a lot of things wrong, but they also do a lot of things right. And I think in a game like this, in a game of this magnitude, you need to have that noise in there. You need to have that passion and that desire. The Union Bears are going to be there in the other corner, and they're going to be belting their hearts out. They're going to be giving it big licks. We need to have a certain part of the fan base in there.
So where I'm at with it, Paddy, as I says, for the avoidance of doubt, because people always are happy and eager to jump on something and misquote your words and tell, spin it a different way. We are 100% of the opinion that this board are hopeless, that they have massively failed us season upon season. It's all coming home to roost. We want meaningful change. We want change at the top. We want change not only in the boardroom, but also in the footballing department. Guys like Tisdale, we think are absolutely useless. So many changes required to be done. The reason I'm saying I'm bored of this is I'm bored of this dynamic. I'm just fed up with it. I'm not bored or unsatisfied about people, as I say, asking and voicing that they want change. 100% behind that. That needs to happen, right? Never lose sight of that and always try to enforce or look for meaningful change. Again, as we say, in the right manner, doing it the right way. But it's just a saga, Paddy, that's going on. And what I will say is this isn't backing the Green Brigade and this isn't backing the board. This is me looking at completely neutral, completely objectively. None of them are wrong. No. The board can't do wrong. We've not done anything wrong. We're blah, 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 blah. And then you get the Green Brigade. Oh, we have not done anything wrong. We're oppressed. We've never done that. We've never stepped foot wrong. We've never caused any trouble. What do you mean we've caused trouble? What do you mean we've caused fights? Bullshit. Both of them lie in equal amounts, and nobody wants to just hold their hands up and go, right, okay, we've made mistakes. Let's get around the table and talk about it. Nobody wants to back down. Now, what I would say is, and we said this before we went on talking about it, I feel that the board, again, collective punishment, the punishment of all for the actions of few, isn't right. It isn't right. It's not the way to go about it. But they will see that they'll see for whatever reason that's the only way they can do it. But what I would say is see the board, why do I think they're acting the way they're doing it? Now, this is my take on it. There's no doubt, whether you want to admit it or not, that over the years, not just necessarily the Green Brigade, but fan organisations, fan groups, there has been trouble, there has been issues, there has been fines, there has been interventions with the authorities and everything else in between. There has been safety issues, there's been pyro issues, there's been fines, whatever, blah, 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 right? But the going was always good during those points. The general unity was people weren't at this stage that we're at right now where they were really unhappy and voicing it so openly and constantly, right? People were unhappy, ourselves included, but it wasn't this groundswell where it was really, really in your face, right? It wasn't. So see at that time, see when all these things are happening, the board have probably not dealt with matters maybe as, what's the term I'm looking for? Robustly as perhaps they have, right? So what you've ended up with is it's been like not really bothering. But now, because they know that nobody likes them anyway, they've probably went, well, do you know what? We're just going to fucking start dealing with stuff. Yeah. And they've seen it as an opportunity to go, well, do you know what? See, for years, we've kind of like played and we've kind of maybe lost a wee bit of control over fan groups and it's caused a bit of problems. And we probably could have been better with how we tried to work out these problems. and now they've just went, well, do you know what? Let's just do it. Who cares? I think that's honestly why they've done it, because they're in a situation where they've literally nothing to lose. Now, I'm not supporting that and saying that's right. I'm just trying to make sense of it. I think they've literally just went like that. Well, they don't like us anyway now, so we'll just do this.
Like arguing with the wife, innit? They're starting to drag all these things back up that you done years ago. Yeah, you've done this as well. You've done that. You've done this. You've done that. Sorry, darling, if you're watching. But I think that's what the board are doing. They're basically holding the Green Brigade account to everything that's happened previously, and they're just, like you say, throwing a book at them, basically because they're pissed off with the way things are going. And I think, like you say, Steve, if this happens in a season where we're winning everything, it's a lot easier to take. It's a lot easier to digest, and I just feel like the team need to help the situation. The manager needs to help the situation rather than fueling it, because losing these games, these important games coming up, is only putting fuel on the fire. When we start getting results, when we start pushing forward, then we'll start to see a wee bit of change coming here. Now, I'm the same as you, Steve. I totally agree that this board are not fit for purpose.
Can I ask you a just straight up question, Paddy? And it is in relation to fan stuff, because I just want to close the book on this. Do you genuinely believe there's a way back into Celtic Park for the Game Brigade? This season, let alone next season. Honestly, do you honestly see this resolving? Do you?
I think there has to be. I think for both parties, I think there has to be. I don't think they're ever going to sit down at a table and discuss terms. I don't think we'll get to that stage again, because basically I think there's been, like, Mr. Lawwell came out and said there was threats to his family, came out and said that there was threats to him and whatever else. It's kind of back to the days where, like, even Lennon was getting threats across the city and stuff. That's all stuff that shouldn't be happening, mate. Now there is investigations ongoing because there's been assaults to stewards, assaults to police officers, whatever's happened. We've all seen the Twitter pages and whatever else. There has been ongoing things. Now, I think that has to be resolved before the Green Brigade be allowed to get back in. I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think the collective punishment was right. I think you punish a certain part of the fan base, but not so many. No, you shouldn't ban that full corner. Like I said, I know people who weren't at that game and who are still being jeopardised, have still basically lost their season ticket for
Can
that.
I just ask you a question here, Paddy? I've got this statement in front of me, and I really don't want to labour it, because the game and the football is the most important thing at this moment, right? But I find this quite interesting, using the Nancy term again. They talk about it and says, unfortunately, 5 people have since been charged, although none for serious or violent assaults. Now, we know that somebody was charged for assault. Does it matter if it's serious or violent? That's what I would ask firstly, right? It says Celtic FC's language has softened in relation to the incident, which suggests that they're making a suggestion that it's not as bad as was made out or whatever. I don't know. That's my reading of it. We believe all 5 will be vindicated in time, but until then, they and their families, by extension, must endure the criminal justice system, from dawn raids to multiple court appearances and everything else it entails, right? The reason I'm bringing that up is, Paddy, this is coming back to what I'm saying about we don't do anything wrong and you don't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not, I fucking hate having to do this, but you have to, because that's people overreact. For the avoidance of doubt, we're not supporting the board. But you can't turn around and say, well, people done X, Y, and Z, and they had to fall foul to the criminal justice system. Their family did with dawn raids. But equally then, should we really be trapping up at board members' weighing schools and all that?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying here? So
I know.
they're complaining about the actions, what may have happened affecting the families of those other people, but then the actions of what some people are doing towards members of the board is affecting those people's family. Can we not just kind of fucking get back to base level and act like grown adults and get around the table and try and thrash this out? Because this is what I mean by I'm tired of it, Paddy. It's getting tit for tat, mate.
Yeah, we've said it before, Steve. There'll be the board story, the Green Brigade story, and inside in the middle there'll be the truth. And that's the same way with every kind of issue like this, with every week in argument. We know there were things done. The police aren't going to go through a door if somebody, if they don't have any evidence, if stuff like that hasn't happened. That's they've obviously got evidence of certain things, like you said, allegations of assault and things like that. There's obviously been something happened and it's been reacted on. And I think those individuals should be punished for their actions. But everyone in that collective area shouldn't be punished for their actions.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? That's kind of that's my standpoint of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the board need to get a grip. They need to behave, in the words of Mr. Lawwell.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the thing. I think the general flavour that folk are getting, as I would say, unfortunate, is that the vast majority of folk are commenting seem to think that the GB's time is out. And I think that, as I said, I do think that is disappointing. We want any fan that pays for the ticket to be able to go to the game, and I fully agree. And we'll always be big sort of, supporters of what you've just said, Paddy, which is you identify the people that have done wrong, and those are the ones that lose out. Everybody else shouldn't be. But I do think in moving forward, something needs to be done. I think that there needs to be an element of an olive branch from both. It can't be one way. It cannot be one way, and that's the problem. Is I feel like each group, each side of the coin want it on their terms.
Yeah.
They want it to be on their terms. So it'd be like the GB have said, we've asked to speak to them and we've not got an answer. And then the board will say, well, we've tried to do this, but we're not getting an answer. Neither of them want to work it out. That's the brutal part here. But I think for the benefit of everybody moving forward, it needs to get sorted out, because it really is just a sideshow, Paddy. It's a sideshow that is undoubtedly going to have a knock-on effect, and it is going to have a knock-on effect in the stadium. It's going to have a knock-on effect with atmosphere. It's going to have a knock-on effect, outside, because I dare say those that cannot go will still be there to protest or turn up, and that in its own will create its own further issues, if you want to call it, on a match day that need to be dealt with.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And I think these people will always be there at Celtic Park, and will always do their utmost to be there. I think they do bring a hell of an atmosphere and whatever else, and I think that's something that's missed. You think back to the Dundee United game, Steve, when we threw tennis balls or whatever balls it was onto the pitch, and everybody, there was an uproar after it. That's affecting the players on the pitch, and that's affecting this and affecting that. Surely banning a section of the fan base that players run to when they score a goal, they run over towards the GB for that applause, for that praise, basically. Banning that section, that's notable. That's something that the players are going to notice. So I think that's got more of an adverse effect than some of the slight protests that the collective have been doing, that they're being getting called out for. Listen, the collective are doing a decent job to highlight the faults of this board, and I think that this board, by banning that full section, have basically made more of a detriment to the team than what the collective have. If that makes sense.
No, as I said, I just want to close up and focus on a wee bit of tomorrow's the match and how we think it's going to pan out. But no, it's just something that we brought up, and again, for the avoidance of doubt, we are just trying to look at this objectively. We are certainly not taking the view of the board. No chance. It's not happening. And equally, we're not blindly taking the view of the GB. As I say, I think if we're honest with ourselves, neither party feels that they've done anything wrong. And there is wrongdoings in both sides. I think, as we said, ultimately the way that it's been dealt with the collective punishment is tragic. It's not what you want. It's no ideal, and it benefits nobody. But I just think that it is something that really needs to get sorted out. My only concern is that under this current regime and the current format of the board, I don't see it changing, and that in itself is pretty brutal. But let's get on to it, Paddy. We've got a game to talk about tomorrow. I'm sure every fan that's in there is 420 saying he's going to be as loud as possible in the game. Absolutely. And that is what I expect for every single person there. But let's have a look, Paddy. The game tomorrow, we go on against Rangers. Form-wise for Rangers in their last 7, 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. Now, of course, they've had wins against Hibs, Motherwell, St Mirren. Aye, kind of funny that one to me. Okay, some of those teams there, considering their results, kind of 1-0 against Hibs, 1-0 against Motherwell, 2-1 against St Mirren. St Mirren was a penalty, we know that, and of course a 3-0 against Kelly. It's unfathomable, Paddy, losing to this. I'll say it again. A team that a couple of months ago were 9th in the league. They had sacked a manager. They couldn't buy a goal. They couldn't buy a win. And potentially they could draw even with us. And worst case scenario, if it was an absolute disaster zone, they could go above us.
Yes, it's madness, mate. I'm still under the assumption that we're going to concede at least 2 goals. I just think that Mr. Nancy's formation and planning and whatever you want to call it, set up just can't defend. And I think Rangers will take advantage of that. I really do. I think they'll come out straight for the start and we'll be under the cosh rapidly. All they need to really do is overload that midfield and have 2 up front. They could play a 3-5-2 against us and absolutely melt us because they've got defenders that can play in a back 3. We don't. And that's the simple fact there, mate. We don't have the players to play this formation that he wants us to play. And I fear the worst. I've never been like this going into a derby game. I've never been like this at all. You know me, I'm forever the optimist. I'm calling 4-0 every week and whatever else. But going into that tomorrow, mate, I am not confident in the slightest. I think we'll be lucky to get out with a 3-1.
Mm-hmm. So, Paddy, let's talk about how we can possibly make this work. There are a lot of questions we're asking. Who plays up top? So what would Paddy's formation, I say formation, I know you wouldn't want 3 at the back, but what's Paddy's lineup? What do you think we're going to get served up by Wilfried Nancy tomorrow?
Jesus, I think he'll put Casper in goals, which I think again is another mistake because he's not really been up to it. But then again, you can say the same for Sinsalo, who conceded 2 goals against Livy for a left back, both at his near post. So yeah, I don't really know what we do there. It's basically kind of the old cliche, like you say, Steve, would you want to be stabbed or shot? It's one of them. So keeper wise, I'm not going to be first, whoever it is. Back 3, I think, will be Tierney, Trusty, and Ralston, which again guts me. I think then you'll have who we're going to think with Dyson in there on the left to terrorise Tavernier. Hatate will be in, McGregor will be in, McCowan, and then Yang. I think Yang or Araujo if the manager backs his new signing, if it's one that he's had any say in, then I think he'll start him over Yang possibly. If the guy is fit, if he's up to fitness and stuff. I don't know much about it, but you see the guy. We'll wait and see tomorrow. See what his kind of fitness levels like. Then I think up top, who have we got? Kenny. Is that it?
There we go, Paddy.
Johnny Kenny. That's pretty much it, mate. So I think it kind of picks itself, but it's
grim, isn't it?
It's grim. Aye, Big Sterling. Somebody's put in a chat there. Big Sterling will be on for Rangers as well, and that big boy always brings. He puts himself about. He plays pretty much every position. Wilfried Nancy would love him. He's one of the guys that's played for Rangers left back, right back, centre half. I think he's played the midfield as well. And
look at it, Paddy. The last time we played against that result against Motherwell was Casper, Ralston, Scales, Tierney, Trusty, Bernardo, Hatate, McGregor, Dyson, Nigren, and Yang. If you're making a change out of there, I think
you're garbage, wasn't he?
Probably you're going to sacrifice Bernardo, aren't you? Because I thought he was dug meat in that game. And then she says, do you try and force Nigren as the focal point? You know, do you try to put him... Because the one thing is, he's not an actual striker.
Nigren's always in the right
position. There you go.
Nigren's always in the right position. He really is. He's always there or thereabouts in the box. He can put the ball away. Yes, he's probably a better option than what we've got to play up front, to play through the middle, because I think he'd get into positions better than what Johnny Kenny would. I think he'd come short and get involved in the play a wee bit more. I think he'd be better at that. I don't know. You could basically, the numbers get picked out of a hat anyway. Who are we to sit here and pick it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can tell just by looking at the formations that it's been just randomly picked. I've honestly no idea. Before you could kind of, with Brendan, it was a bit too easy. You could basically pick a squad, couldn't you? Under Martin O'Neill, you got a few changes in there. But under this guy, mate, you've no idea who's going to start. I really don't. Wouldn't be surprised if Kieran Tierney was through the middle. In
terms of looking at the opposition, again, it's a bit like I always say, it's a bit like not being able to drive and telling your pal his car's a Shana. What's the threats for Rangers? What is the threats? I mean, because when you look at the last games, their goals are coming from strange places. Asgard's get two, get a wee bit of pace around them. Chermiti even scored. And of course, it's mainly defenders. Magoma, Big Fernandez has got two. That could be a problematic situation. They'll set pieces. Yeah. And of course, prior to kind of his injury, Miovski had hit three. I don't know what situation there has been. But the boy, Mikey Moore's looking a bit fast. Do you think just simply pace is what's the threat? Because look at the guys I've got. We know Gassama is a bit of a steam train when he gets on and in behind. We also know that Mikey Moore's got a good turn of pace, as does Asgard, and they're all going to be pretty much. I'd say you're going to get all three of them in the starting lineup. Probably the striker's going to be a toss-up, really, isn't it? But
a lot of people in the chat here on TikTok, a lot of Rangers fans are in, mate. Loads of them, they're all saying Majovski's back. So he'll be back for tomorrow. And again, I think he'll be a massive threat, especially with balls getting put into that box if we've not got anybody marking him. And it's only going to be Austin Trusty, basically, when you think about it. Asgard, he's one of these guys that will hit a shot for you anywhere. He's one of these guys that will actually do a wee bit. I think our main problem tomorrow is going to be set pieces, Steve. We know that their Captain Disappointed can cross the ball for you anywhere. We know that he's got a very, very good delivery. We know that he can cause a bit of danger with that. And I just think that we are so poor in the air. I think that's a position where we are going to be right under the cosh straight away. They've got fast wingers, like you said, Steve, Mikey Moore and your lad Gassama and whatever else. They're fast. They're going to get down to the byline. They're going to be putting crosses into the box. They're going to be winning corners, and it's just going to put us under so much pressure, mate. And I fear the worst. Honestly, I really do. I fear the worst for it.
The thing that I've got a concern about here is, Paddy, is that two things. Well, all it, but firstly is the pace. And I think if we're as high as advanced as we were and we're making tackles on the halfway line, it could be a long afternoon.
Yeah.
But secondly, one thing that we've often lost out with Rangers has been a wee bit of physicality in the midfield.
Yeah.
Now, as daft as it sounds, previous games, albeit they haven't been great, we've been able to be a wee bit tighter in midfield and compete a wee bit more and sort of make a nuisance of ourselves. Particularly saw that in the Martin O'Neill game in the Cup, right?
Yeah.
But see that bit that we've been quite good at throughout the course of this season is up and down our form's been, which has been able to control a midfield. And generally speaking, I know it's kind of went by the by with some of the past games against Rangers and it's been disappointing. But in general, the midfield is usually, particularly at home, where Celtic really get a grasp on the game and, you know, a grip and kind of try to control the tempo and stuff. This style that we are playing, the midfield just bypasses you.
Yeah.
There is no getting your foot on the ball and pulling the strings. It's just pass, right? Oh, try and turn it around the corner, pass. That's my worry here. I think if Rangers put their foot down in the midfield and stamp it out, like, look at what happened with Motherwell. Right, the Motherwell's manager's his interview was fantastic, very actually refreshing, and he essentially turned around and says, we analysed the game, we knew what to do, we put one man on Callum McGregor, we stopped him orchestrating the play, and then we squeezed our wingers to force them narrow, and that allowed us to get in behind them. Now, I'm sorry, but if Motherwell can work that out, then...
Exactly, mate. Listen, you look at the amount of misplaced passes for guys like Hatate and Negrin and whoever else was in there, even Bernardo. The amount of misplaced passes in that first half against Motherwell were ridiculous, mate. Even Kasper Schmeichel to concede the second goal, but it was just, mate, laughable. And that's all down to, like you said, one player being marked out of the game. And Rangers will be able to do that as well, mate. Guys like Big Diamande will be on Callum McGregor. Somebody that will just basically kick him out of the game. You know what he's like. The big guy just gets in there and digs in and does what he does. And it'll free up space for guys like Asgard and whoever else to move forward. And I don't even see there being much of a midfield battle in there because we don't have the players that know what they're doing, mate. The players look as if they're all over the place. And I think there'll be a lot of lump balls tomorrow. Rangers will revert back to the old chaos ball, as you call it. The lump ball over the top and and basically highlight the fact that we don't have a defence.
Do you know what I'd say, Paddy, though? Sorry, I don't actually think Rangers need chaos ball. Rangers normally is just launch balls into the box. I don't even think they need that. I genuinely don't. I think, as any team have done, they'll try to exploit cross balls and set pieces and treat, shies like corners and all that. And that's been our undoing. It's concerning. It's embarrassing. But I actually just think that the game might be, as much as I hate saying this, it might be refreshingly more easy for Rangers in terms of if we play that high line, all they need to do is get in behind. They don't need to, because normally Celtic are quite organised. We're quite organised, and we've always got guys back. And the biggest problem is we still had the guys back, but they say, right, let's just launch the ball into the box and make them try to deal with it. I don't even think they'll need to do that. I think because the play will be all in front of them. I honestly think that's my biggest concern, is we just invite teams on us. Look at St Mirren. They undone us by two passes to their own half. And again, as much as I don't think Rangers will get a great team, they've got better players that can pick better passes than St Mirren, and better players that can pick better passes than Hearts and also Motherwell.
Yeah. Now, you're spot on, and I think that all they need to do is just absorb what we're bringing, because we look as if we're trying to walk the ball into the back of the net. Wilfried Nancy can sit there and talk about possession and passing and whatever else, all your other stats and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to results, Steve, and we need to get results. At the minute, it looks as if we're trying to walk the ball into the back of the net, and it's not happening. We need to start taking digs. We need to start taking chances. We need to start finishing teams off. And God, I would love to see it, but at the minute, I don't feel confident at all going into it.
So, in conclusion, we've went an hour and 15. I want everybody to enjoy themselves here and, get ready and G'd up for the game tomorrow, as hard as that may well be. Paddy, give us your honest opinion. How do you think?
Honest opinion's 3-1 Rangers, mate. Honest opinion's 3-1 Rangers. And that guts me to say that. It really does. That's horrible. Do you know what I mean? Saying the words that I think they've got enough in the tank to beat them. There's a lot of people there saying, like, you're no backing your team, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I said, I'm watching it with my eyes. I'm watching this team play. As I said before the Motherwell game, I'm not happy about this, but I will be right. We will concede at least 2 goals.
Yeah.
And that's basically because we're shit at the back. Teams know how to do it. Teams know how to play against us. If we're going to win that game tomorrow, we need to score at least 3 goals. Where are the 3 goals coming from, Steve-O? I look at that squad and I can't see 3 goals in our squad. So that's why I look at it with the opinion that we're going to get beat.
Do you know, Paddy, this is, and I will say everybody out there, there's still 250 odd of you beautiful folk watching us, so thanks for staying with us all the way through. And as we said the past couple, we honestly, this hurts our hearts to come on here and be talking with us. But this is, and I said this to you before, Paddy, recently. I said this to a couple of our friends as well. I says, I actually can't believe that I have, in the space of 7 games, I have reverted back to how pessimistic I was about getting into games as I was at the sort of tail end before Brendan went. I can't believe how quickly our fortunes have turned into misfortune. Yeah. And it depletes you. It really does. It brings you down. And I'd love to sit here and be full of the positivity and say, form goes out the windy and all that kind of stuff when it comes to the Glasgow Derby. But one thing that we'll always do is we'll always be genuine with you. We'll always tell you honestly what we think. And it would be easy for us as a Celtic podcast to just sit here and go, we're going to go and win them and blah, 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 because that's what we think people want to hear. And we know that folk would want to listen to mega positivity and all that. We know that. But we'd rather be honest and we'd rather be authentic with you. And it's the same when we talk about all matters, whether it's the board stuff, the fan stuff, or whatever. We're always just trying to look at things objectively and make sense of it. It would be easy for us to just constantly say everything's perfect and everything's, this and that. That's not true to life. And if I'm being honest with you, Paddy, I do think Celtic are going to get beat tomorrow.
Yeah.
I really do. But I did say, and again, they might say, sitting on the fence now, Steve-O. It's so unpredictable that this game could be an absolute blockbuster, fucking 2 each, 3 each madness, right? It could be like 2 each, a man sent off each, a penalty in the game. It could be all of those things. It could, because we've seen that Rangers are just as open and susceptible to losing goals. And I know they've got away with quite a few, but they give a lot of chances away as well. But for me, like I've said with every game, it feels like a toss of a coin.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think we'll win. Do I think we could get a draw? Yes, I do, and I think it could be a madness draw, like I've just said. But my heart tells me that I just think that I just can't see it, mate.
Would you take a draw now? See if it says to you.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
And how many seasons, Steve-O? How many games previously to this? If I'd say to you, Celtic are playing Rangers at Parkhead, mate, you can have the draw the now. Do you want it? Mm-hmm. You'd say, no, give them a goal ahead start. We'll take your points. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Going into this before, you'd have been like, nah, no chance. And that's the difference, mate. Under this manager, there's no confidence. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He gets a vote of no confidence, the same as the board. And mate, I hope I'm wrong. I hope to God I'm wrong. I really, really do. I'd love to come on here tomorrow night after the game and be like, yes.
Do you know the only one thing? Do you know the one crumb of optimism or hope that I've got? And this sounds really, really stupid because we know that the system's dog shit despite them telling us it's not right. Is the players that will take to the field will know more than the manager what this means. And my hope is that they simply won't allow it. That they won't allow it. That they'll have a fight in them. And even if it is a disorganised, chaotic fucking mess, I expect them to chuck their bodies on the line to stop chances, to make tackles, whatever. And that's the only thing that really, really makes me feel that it could end up in not a defeat, is that I think that the players will feel that it is owed to the fans.
Yeah.
And again, I'm wanting to guys like the captain, and I'll know within the first 5 minutes how the game's going to pan out.
Yeah, you've seen the reaction to the defeats for guys like Luke McCowan and Callum McGregor and stuff. There's a lot of people, obviously the body language experts and stuff. After the Motherwell game, Callum McGregor walked straight past Wilfried Nancy and looked at him like he was a piece of shit in his shoe. Yeah, everybody's seen it. It was there. Do you know what I mean? He kind of looked at him and just went, wow. Luke McCowan just looks devastated. Looks like a young guy that's just absolutely gutted to see his team losing and stuff. So these are the guys that can change games. These are guys that can actually drag us into a game like this. And you hope that happens, Steve. You just hope that if the formation isn't working, do you think that somebody like Callum McGregor would have the balls or the attitude to actually pull the players in and say, right, listen, guys, we're going to go for it at the back. We're going to do you know what I mean? We're going to do this.
I'll say it right now, Paddy. I think that's if we talk about mutiny and all that, we don't want to see that. But I would say that see if things were going wrong, I would wait. And I had this chat with Steve, who was watching, and he says to me about Cal McGregor. He says Cal McGregor has got a lot of fucking explaining to do. He's got a lot of parts to play, and he says a wee bit of my self-respect was lost for Cal McGregor when he was greeting at the cup final. He says, I know it's emotional. He says, but you wouldn't have seen Paul McStay. You wouldn't have seen Scott Brown. You wouldn't have seen Neil Lennon. You wouldn't have seen Steve McManus greeting after the defeat. You wouldn't. He says that's loser material. He says, and I don't think Cal McGregor's been the same guy since that cup final. Now, I also mentioned that about gripping them. He says, typically we make the 5 substitutions. He says, now, by that point, it might be too late. He says, but if you want the senior players to take advantage and grip the bull by the horns and all that, if it's not going our way, it has to be after the substitutions are made, because then what you got to do, fucking take me off. Well, you can't. You explain things later. But I think, personally, I asked him the question. I goes, do you think captains of old, do you think a Scott Brown would have, during a match, if it was going that way, rallied the troops, meant, see that fucking in the bin, here's how we're doing it.
Of course he would have.
Confidently said, yes, I believe he would.
I believe that as well.
I think leadership needs to come onto the pitch. Yes, you want to support your manager, you want to try and implement his plans, but sometimes you've got to, for the greater good, maybe take the bullet and put your own neck in the line.
Aye. Listen, mate, I totally agree with you. We've been lucky enough to be in Scott Brown's company and actually speak to him directly about stuff like this, and I firmly believe that he would change the team if he had to. On the park if he wasn't getting results. I fully believe that he would do that. And when we actually spoke to him as well, remember him saying about like press conferences and stuff, anytime Celtic lose, the captain is the one who does the press conferences. He's the one who stands in front of the camera and basically takes the flak, takes the hit, basically takes it on his shoulders. We've not seen that for Callum.
This is a great point, Paddy. I'm just want to bring this in for James. That's a great point. Where's Callum McGregor at these press conferences?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, mate. Where has he been? Probably the last game we won. The Aberdeen game, maybe. I don't know. But that's the thing, mate. Scott Brown said to us, when Celtic got beat, him, Lenny, McStay, whoever, would always have been in front of the camera to basically take the flak, to take the hit, to deal with the fans, to deal with the media, to deal with everything else, because that's basically their job. They're seen as the captain of the club, the person who takes that on their shoulders and pushes forward for there. We've not seen that for Callum. And we need to start seeing that Callum McGregor back. We need to see the Callum McGregor that was standing 10 foot tall when Mark O'Neill was in charge. This guy that was just running the show a couple of years back, we need him back. We need to see a proper Callum McGregor tomorrow. If he goes into that game with any doubt tomorrow that we're going to lose it, then we will lose it. It's as simple as that.
Well, Paddy, thank you for taking the time out to join us here. I believe that if there's going to be a post-match show, it's more likely going to be yourself and possibly Stevie. I will be out and unavailable, though I may stick my head in if you guys are on. But as we always say, you know, win, lose or draw, we'll be here and we'll always be here. Hopefully, we'll be coming on and we'll be talking, Paddy, about a positive result. And every single one of you out there is 270 strong watching. It's went 10 o'clock. So thank you to every single one of you. And again, thank you to the 1,888. You couldn't write it. People who subscribe to Celtic World Order this year alone, or last year as it was now. I'm forgetting it's 2026. So make sure that you hit that subscribe. It's completely free, cost you nothing. Help this channel grow. We've got big plans. Let's try and hit 5,000, Paddy. Do you think we could do that by the end of next year or this year?
I've got a few people watching on TikTok just now. Listen, guys, I know a lot of these are Rangers fans, but you can even head over to YouTube as well. Hit the subscribe button. Cost you nothing, but it boosts the algorithm, boosts the numbers, gets us more people involved. So do
any interaction's good interaction. That's
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
And every single buddy out there watching it, if you're going to the game, enjoy it, be vocal, back the team, stay safe, all that stuff, you know. And if you're watching elsewhere, again, don't lose yourself if it's not going our way. Keep it cool.
I hope to God we are back on here tomorrow night. Listen, I've been getting torrents of abuse on this TikTok, and I hope to God I can come back on tomorrow night and give some of it back, just sit here laughing and whatever else. But God, it's a tough one, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, Paddy, thank you, and thank you to everybody for joining us. Paddy, I'll let you send this one home, mate.
Thank you so much for all your kind support, guys, and as always, hail, hail.